Hello all and welcome to our crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 4, the final part of our Convivial cushion. Get excited guys, because I am. I know it's taken so long, but we are definitely here. And what you will need for your cushion is some of your yarn. Make sure you have you only need very little, but make sure you have some in stock. You will need your 4mm hook. Yes, you will. You will need your scissors. You will definitely need that darning needle. She says as she hasn't even weaved in all her ends. You may or may not need stitch markers depending on what part you are up to. But there you go guys, it will be complete at the end of this tutorial. Why am I talking so slow? Because I'm so glad it's finished. This is my favorite side, as you guys already know. I mentioned it on part 3. I also mentioned it in a couple of my lives. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching and good luck making part 4, the final part of your Convivial cushion. I just wanted to show you what we're up to. This is where you are. At the moment you've got this massive space. It's a little bit smaller on this end than it is this end, so none of it is going to match up with our other piece. However, we're not going to do the buttons yet because I want to show you how we're going to attach our pieces. Have a look at your other piece. Now your other piece is rather a loose stitch and we probably could have done less on this side and more on that to even it out, but I didn't. Okay, now I did that on purpose. I wanted it to have that tight look about it. Okay, but it means you have to mess around with some stitches on purpose, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So your next job, if you want to do it technically, like if you really want to get technical, count one side of your work, count one side of this work. Now that's your right side of the work we've been working on all along. This is the right side of your work for your mosaic square. Turn your mosaic square over, having your right sides facing your right side. So you're actually working on your wrong sides here. Now there is one tiny little error that yours truly made in the very first, it was the second part to this tutorial. I added 6 double crochets in the corner. I really should have only put 3. So that's a big mistake on my part. It's not going to make, well it will, it'll make a difference because that's 12 extra stitches on each side, giving that a very too big of effect there. But it doesn't matter because we will just put 2 stitches in one and 1 in the other, and I'll show you how to do that. So turning it over, grabbing your sides, all right. Now again, there's no exact spot to put your corners in. There is on this side because you've got 6, so you know 1, 2 and 3, and you can pop it in that 3rd stitch. It doesn't matter, okay? It really doesn't matter as long as the corners look relatively like a corner, okay? Now go over to the next corner and do exactly the same. Roughly, once again, in the corner section on this side, roughly. And I don't know, 1, 2, 3, corner section on this side. Oh, there's a little bit of a sticky stitch there for some reason. And there you go. All right. So you've got this massive gap. Bring that out. Massive gap. And you're thinking, no way is that going to work. It's not. It's not. Okay. So what you're going to do, give it a big stretch. All right. Your top piece, give it a big stretch. Hold it nice and tight. Grab a center piece, popping your stitch marker roughly, there's no right or wrong way of doing this part either, there. Going back to the part there, giving a big stretch there. Oh, you're going to be really out. We're all going to be really out, but that's okay. It's because that other piece is fairly loose. It's the stitch itself that's loose, and this is a tight stitch. All right. Go over to your next section there and giving it a big tug there, going in there. It's, when I say center, it's any stitch that looks close to the center. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to work in those stitches right there. Then you're going to work in those stitches right there. And we're going to do that together. okay? We're not going to worry about putting the buttons on yet or anything. So grab yourself some charcoal thread. If you've run out of your charcoal, you are welcome to use black or any dark. I'm sure you've got a gazillion blacks in stock, hopefully. Hopefully. You're welcome to use any black. And if you are struggling with any black at all, then use the violet, okay? Hopefully it doesn't show. It probably will. That's why you are better off using the black. Now, if you want, which I think I might do, grab one more stitch marker and just pull that bit as well. All right, and then pop another stitch marker in there. And that shows from there to there, you have to make it fit. How are we going to do this? Okay, I hear you ask. We've got our long thread. Double it up. I say double it up, pull your thread through and double it that way. And I say doubling it, bringing it through and doubling it there, okay? Don't knot it because you're going to weave that in later, I think is the best way of doing this. So don't knot it, and I'll show you what you're going to do first. Now this is going to be very tricky, firstly because you have too many stitches on one, not enough on the other. Secondly, because it's black, so you're going to struggle to see it. So pop your needle in that stitch. I'm going to take it out because my stitch markers actually split the yarn again. There and there. All right, so you're popping it through one stitch on one side and through the other stitch on the other side, pulling your thread through. I'm going to show you how far to go so you know not to pull too much through. And there's your two ends. Just leave them loose, all right? But what we're going to do is go back into that same stitch. You're going around, okay? So you're going around and then back into the same stitch. And on this part, when you pull it through like so, don't pull it all the way through. See that loop there, right there? Whoops. Popping your needle through the loop like so, holding that little thread you still have there and then just giving it a tug, and all that's doing is knotting it, so now you can keep working across. So because none of this matches, I'll get a nice close-up for you, some fluff out the way. You're going to pop your needle in that first stitch you come to and the first stitch on this side. And if you want, what you can do, don't lose those threads in there, what you can do is just count. See if you've got the same stitches across there first. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And over here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's not too bad. So what you're going to do is you're going to come back into the same stitch that you are in, just in this corner part. Go into the next stitch on your opposite side, not the same stitch, the same stitch this side, the next stitch your opposite side. So what that's doing is, that is pulling that part in and leaving that part straight. Then you go into the next stitch and you find the next stitch on the opposite side. Oh, it's very tricky with the camera and black. So you are in that stitch there. You want to go into your next stitch. It is very tricky, okay? This is how you adjust things that are the wrong size. All right, now I did that on purpose because this piece here, when it's made, it becomes very loose. This piece here, the stitch, the way it's made, is a very tight stitch, and you want to even them out, okay? So you go around the other side into the new stitch and into the new stitch on that side. So when I say the new stitch, it means you're going through the stitches like normal. When I say the old stitch, it means you're doing one on the same side here, but you're going on a new side on there. So you're still going into new stitches. I don't know what else to call them. I really don't. Oops. Being careful not to take those threads. You want to weave those in later, okay? Okay, there. Now bring your thread over, I think. It stops it from knotting. Let's open up here a little bit more into a new stitch right there. and a new stitch in the opposite, and they're matching up now. Okay, so it's all about, in this case, a rough measurement. New stitch there, new stitch there. Okay, and that's where your stitch marker is. So from there to there, you're going to do exactly the same. I would take that stitch marker out now. You would count your stitches. So you might have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 along there. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so you're going to do the same. Here, you're going to go into an old stitch. So you go into the new stitch on this side, right here. I'm sorry, you go into the old stitch on the side. So the same stitch that you are in now, and then you go into the new stitch on that side, pulling the back one closer together. Okay, like so. You're going to do the same over here. Now you're going to go into the new stitches, sorry. So from there, oh, hang on, what stitch is that? Is that the old stitch? Yeah, that's the new stitch, and that's your new stitch. Let's see where it's coming out of. You really need to do this in lighter colours next time, Mary. Sorry, guys. So new stitches, there to there. And if by any chance you get to here, oh, my stitch marker's come out. Oh, I'll fix that in a minute. You get to here and your stitch count doesn't match up, just put it in an old one there and a new one on that side, so pulling it over a little bit more. All right, I'm going to fix that up again because I'm going to put another stitch marker. They're not that good to put in there. All right, so give it a nice tug, tight, or big gap between there and there. Okay, that's okay. We're going to fix that. That's why I show you how to give it a good tug, and then you can go in between and do the rest. Just can get the even side, go across, do it that all the way across, do it there, do it there. It's going to be a little bit tricky, and do it there. All right, so just do from there to there, and I'll meet you up. All right, and if there's anything left over on one side, we can sort that out. So keep going, doing your whip stitch all the way until you get to here, and I'll meet you up. Alrighty, here I am at the end of the side, and mine does not match up. So that's okay. What we're going to do, I'm still in that one there. We're going to go back into the same one. I don't know about you. If yours matched up, that's okay. The same one here, and the next one on that side, like so. Okay? Yes? And then we're going to go into the new one, where the stitch marker is. I'm just going to keep the stitch marker on that one there so you can see how far out I was. All right. See how far out I was? About 2 or 3. That doesn't matter. That's what we're doing here now. So that's the old one. We're going to go back into that new one. We don't want to do it every second stitch because otherwise it'll look too stuck together. So just do it through 2 new ones there. And the very next one, we're going to put in the same one and go in the opposite. I'll take that stitch marker out now. We're going in the same one as we were before, and now we're going to go into the new one right there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So for now, what you do is you give it a bit of a tug. I mean, you're going to do exactly the same. Looks like we're going to have a very big gap there. So we'll do this together, I think. I'm going to go in the same one. No, we just went in the same one. So your next one will go in 2 new ones. A new one there and a new one on the opposite side. All right. But the next one will go in the same one and then go into a new one on the opposite side. Okay, and the next one, we're going to go into a new one right there and a new one on the opposite side. We're almost evened out. See, we're almost evened out. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're going to go in the same one. No, we're not. We're going to go in 2 new ones. Like that. I can't remember what we just did. Doesn't matter. Just go in 2 new ones. If you're not sure, just do 2 new ones to be safe. Then go back into the old one you were just in and start a new one on that side right there. All right. And we've married up. So we're going into that one there and into that one there. All right. And then, oh wait, no, we haven't married up. We need to do it again. There's 2 on that side, 1 on this side, but we know we need to put 2 together here. So what you're going to do is go into the same one and then start a new one on that side. Then go into the new one and then go into a new one on that side. All right, we're doing the next section. So you know what you're doing here. You're going into a new one and a new one, then the same one you're in, and then a new one. Then a new one and a new one, and the same one you're in. Just make sure you count these. Okay, if you find you've done it a few times and then they marry up, just keep going. Don't keep doing it until all of a sudden it's like that and it's wrong, okay? We could probably do this next section together if you like. In fact, I'll just count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's very hard to see the black now, isn't it? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 there. Let's count this side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we really have to do that once. So I wouldn't do it anymore. I would just keep going straight into your next one and your next one, like so, all the way across. In fact, if you like, do about 4 of them, like so. 2, 3, and 4, because we had 8, yeah? So we go back into that same stitch, grab a new stitch, there. Now if you like, another thing we can do is, because we don't have as much to do there, just check that there's too much to do there. You don't want to have too much there, but it looks like it'll be okay. We can sort that out, that's not a problem. So I would keep going until you get to your next, whatever it is, the white. Which it looks like I've done too much now, but anyway, we'll see. Okay. I don't know if that was in screen there. Sorry guys, I hope it was. I just looked at the screen now. There. Alright, so this one evened out, which is very good. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. I'm just going to do that last stitch right there. Then we are going to do this with this section here. Because this one doesn't look too bad now. It doesn't look like we need a lot. In fact, if we don't, pull more on that side. All right, so do your counting along there, count along there, count along there, and count along there. If you can even it out a little bit, even better, okay? Get that side done to that corner, meet me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, I've gotten to this corner. I've noticed I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and here I've only got 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to have to do, I'll do one more normal one just there, and a new one there. So it might just be that some of the stitches are loose as well on the other end, so don't mistaken them. You have to make sure you count. Okay, so I'm going to pop it straight in the same stitch on this side and a new stitch on the opposite side, being careful because this is the corner now, so it's going to be tricky. It'll be easy for you to miss the corner completely. Alright, so I now have my very last stitch to do. Have I gone into that one? No, right there, there is one. I'm sorry, there's one right there, and there's one right there. Being careful, make sure you're getting in all your stitches, okay? Otherwise you're going to have gaps. Alright, so then there's our corner. I'm going to pop my stitch in the corner like so, and like so, right there. Alright, and just go into your next stitch and your next stitch. just this one while we're turning our corner there. Oh no, do another one. Go into your next stitch and your next stitch there. All right, so what I want you to do now, guess what? You have to do this side. All right, so what you did there, you're going to do here. Now, this is a side where you've got your little gap. It doesn't affect you at all. It shouldn't affect you at all. You need to pop your corners together. Again, we're doing a rough corner, okay? It's not an exact. As long as it looks like you're on a point on one side. And this one's easy. You can actually count. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And you're on a point, oops, on the other side. And I've used this stitch marker that's terrible. This side here, this is not going to be as bad. I calculated that there's 76 on this side on mine, and there's about 75 on the other side. So really, I might only have to do it once, all right? But what I want you to do is count your stitches along here, count your stitches along there. If they're exactly the same, then you're okay. If they're not, you need to do that pull section again, do the pull section here. So when you've pulled it there, like we've done here, you do one here, one there, and if you need to add that extra, you do one in the same stitch and then one in the new stitch on the other side. So I know it kind of is a bit odd, but let me open it up and show you how it looks. I'm just going to take this stitch marker undone. You don't need that there. Well, I don't. You may. And that's what you're looking at. Now, see how wide this piece is? It's that kind of pattern that is wide. It's going to stretch. And that's one that's tight. So that's going to really pull once we've got it on the cushion. But that's the look I was going for, okay? So it's good to have one side different and one side different. It just works perfect for me. All right. So what I want you to do, this is the hard part. I'm sorry. This is the hard part for you, but easy part for me because I know exactly what I want. Go ahead. Count your sides. If they are even up, you can just continue doing your whip stitch right across. If there's one or two different on the other side, then do what we did on this side. When you get to this section right here, you're going to have a lot out, okay? So make sure when you do your pull that you make sure you can keep doing your special stitch that we did on this area here. All right, so I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this because that's going to take ages, okay? It's going to take a very long time. So go ahead and do all four sides. Get to the end. And when you get to the end, do the last. You know what we'll do? I'll just pop in. Let's get a nice stitch marker that's going to work for me. Just pop in a stitch marker. Let's see. Maybe the last 3 stitches on both sides there. Okay. Do all of this. You know, do that side and then that side. Oh, there's 3 sides. Sorry, got to do all 3 sides. Get to this last stitch marker here and get ready for how we're going to actually finish off our convivial cushion. Yay! Get excited, guys. All right, head off on your own, finish those sides, the 3 sides, and I'll meet you up. Alrighty guys, if you're anything like me, you'll be around here. You might find this part a little bit tricky, and you may have found these sides a little different too. You may have found that this side had more than the other side, which was very unusual. But hopefully you did the, you know, 1 in 1 and 1 and 2 in 1 and 1 in the other kind of thing. And then you did it the opposite way where it was 2 in 1 and 1 in the other, if it makes any sense. But I'm sure you did. Now where I was here. So what we're going to do is just finish off this side. Okay, so hopefully yours added up towards the end. I don't know if I've gone the wrong way, but it doesn't matter. As long as all the gaps are filled in, I'm going to do another one in here because it looks like, oops, looks like it's too much there. There we go. Now, if this is really playing up on you, you can separate that first one that you go into. It's really tight here. And if you want, you can just turn it a bit and pop your finger in there, and that will open it up so you can find that very last stitch there without pinning yourself like I nearly just did. All right, if that's a problem, just go right into that very next stitch, and I actually would do that way, and go right back into the very first stitch that we started with those two ends. Now I changed my threads a few times, and guess what? I lost a yarn chicken. This is a different black that I'm using to sew. That was the dark chocolate, and this was the charcoal, like the blackest black. But because we're only sewing the seams, it doesn't matter because this is not going to be shown. All right, so what you want to do here now is you can either do it two ways. You can cut this here and then rethread one way and then rethread one the other way so that they're in different areas. Or you can do what I'm going to do right now and just weave in along the side where we just finished threading, if that makes any sense to you. And then go back the other way. There's no way this is coming undone. It's very, very thick. So I'm only going to do it twice. Okay. And there you go. For that one. Now for these ones, you need to weave in those ends when you get an opportunity, and all the other ends that you ended up with. Now the reason I'm stopping here is because I want to turn this in the right way for one moment only. All right. And when you do that, for now, you don't have to, but just get into the points and push the points through. Don't make holes in it like I just did. I'm making holes in the stitches on the other side. Just push the points through for one moment. You're going to see why once we do our buttons. Now off air, I had a bit of a play with where I want the buttons to go. All right, so we're just going to grab one button here. All right, now if you remember correctly, we'll get a nice close-up. We didn't put our buttonhole in the first cluster here. We did our first cluster, then we did a single crochet, and in that second cluster, we did the 2 double crochets, the buttonhole, the chain one, and the 2 double crochets right there. Okay, so you're going to this side here. The first row is what we are counting. Sorry, the second row, I should say. Don't get it right, Mary, is what we are counting. That first batch of cluster that you see there, so the first cluster, we didn't put a buttonhole, so you're not putting the button there. Then came the single crochet, which is sitting here under all this top cluster. Then we kept going, and that's where our first buttonhole was put, in between these 2 double crochets. Pop a stitch marker in there now, and if you're not sure where that is, there's your first single crochet in your first row, a cluster set, your second single crochet just above that second single crochet. If you did the same amount of as I have across with 54 stitches and 56 when you're adding the extra 2, if you did that, then that's what you should get. All right, so then from here we did the same thing. There's the first single crochet. There's your first cluster set. We skipped that one, didn't we? Then we did another single crochet, and in that second cluster set, we did our buttonhole. Now I've put it through 3 stitches there. That's no good, 2 stitches. You don't want to do that. Just put it through. You're just putting it behind the post of the middle stitch, all right? Because your button is going right in that middle post, okay? So then we did it again. We did a single crochet. We didn't do our first cluster. We did a single crochet. We did it in our next cluster. Pop your stitch marker in there. Move over. We didn't do, it's a single crochet. We didn't do it in our next cluster, but we did a single crochet there, and we did it in the second last cluster, and I've split that one too. Gee, I'm doing well. I am doing well. So you're going with your stitch marker around the post. You don't even need to do that. That's probably why I split it. I didn't really care. It's just to show you where your button is going to go. Now in this cluster set, we did a single crochet, and in this cluster set here, we didn't put one because remember I said it's going to be too close to the edge and you won't need one there. All right. So now you've got your 4 stitch markers in. This is where I want you to put your buttons. Now, let's start off with 1 button, and then I'm going to send you off on your own and you're going to do the rest. Thread your needle. All right. Now, the same with this. It depends on your button and the gap in your button. Oh, I'm going to do this. Now, the space in my button right there, oops, is very, very spacey. So I can actually pop my needle in there a few times, in and out, in and out. So I'm going to double thread mine. If your buttonhole's got a tiny little hole, and if you've got the buttonholes on top here, just thread your needle with one thread only, okay? Now, I haven't got that there, but I'll show you what you can do with that anyway, all right? So if you've got buttons like me, that's where your first button is going to go. All right, don't take the stitch marker out yet until you find your button. Grab your button, get it ready. If you've got a button with the holes, you're going to do exactly what we're doing, but you're putting yours through the holes instead. All right, so there's our stitch marker. I'm going to take that out. Now, because that stitch marker has made a bit of a bump, it's showing me exactly where I want my button to be. You've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, and there should be a fifth one right there. So 1, 2, 3. Right in the middle, that's where we want our button to be. So what you're going to do is just split that stitch right there, popping your needle through and leaving a little bit of, your tail at the back so you can tie it up later. Don't do it now. Now, you're just going to pop your thread through in a different area of that stitch. And it is actually going in the stitch. I'm actually splitting that stitch right there. All right, now really what we should do is tie this in a knot here, like so. I'm only going to do one knot. This is going to be very thick because I've got 2 threads, but you can do 2 if you've only got 1 thread. All right, pop it back in there in the stitch, in a different area, wherever, doesn't matter, but still in that one stitch. Pop it in and pop it through. Now if you've got a button with the holes on top, pop it in through the first hole and then pop it through the second hole, then pull the thread through, okay? If you've got a button like me, turn it over and pop it through there. All right, like so. So your button is still dangling, and even the button that you have with the holes on top will be dangling as well. So just pop your needle in through that stitch again, anywhere you like. And what it'll do, it'll straighten your button up, like so. All right, so a button like with the holes in it here, you're going straight through, and even with our button, we're just going to go straight through for now. Just in there for now. And then if you've got buttons with the holes on top, pop it through the hole on top. The rest of us, we're going to do it exactly like we did before. If you've got buttons like this one, pop it through here. Now, if you've got a 4-hole button, you need to do all 4 holes eventually. Okay, and there you go. So do it a couple of times. I'm sorry if I'm yelling in the camera there. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell there. I don't even know why I said it so loud. I'll bring it down when I'm doing the recording later. The editing later, I mean. Okay, you're going to do it that time, and then you're going to go through, I think, one more time. I think my buttonhole's getting a little bit tighter now, and I've actually split the yarn there. So this button, this is not coming undone. So this will be my last one. It's going to pop it through there, and I'm going to weave in. I don't know why I've got such a long thread. I'll use it for the other buttons now. All right, so normally you would tighten a knot again. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave that there, and I'm going to weave it in and out here, like so. Again, it doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you how you want your button to go. I'm not going to bother. Just weaving it in and out. That's what I do normally. And the button has been threaded, you know, a gazillion times. Oh, that's really, really thick. All right, so I'm going to cut mine there. You can keep going if you like. All right. And I'm going to do the button up. Oh, I just took the needle and thread undone. I don't know why I did that. I need that later. You're going to have to weave those 2 ends in too, by the way. I'm just going to do the button up when I find the buttonhole that we did. Now, don't put it in there. That's not where I want it to go. It's got to go in our double crochet buttonhole that we made. Okay, so there you go. That's the one we made, all right? So that's what I want you to do with all your buttons, okay? So pop your button in there, pop your button there, pop your button there, and I will meet you back in a moment. All right, guys, if you're anything like me, you've got your buttons on. I tried our pillow, and these points are actually okay. I don't mind the points. What I did notice is this was too low, and a lot of this was sticking out on the bottom. That wasn't supposed to happen. So what I was going to do, and if it's happening to you, I'll show you exactly what I mean so you understand. I'll just grab your pillow, your cushion insert, okay, and just, it's a good size to put. It doesn't really matter because it's all the same. It's a square. Give me 1 second and I'll pop it in for you. All right, so what I did, well, I thought I was smart doing it twice. But when you look at it, occasionally that happens. You don't want that look. Well, I don't want that look. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking it all undone again, taking out your insert. Okay, so I haven't even done my buttons. I've done them, I just haven't weaved them in. All right, so what I was thinking, we're going to grab some of the cherry, lift up your work like so, and if you look, this is where your black is. Pop your hook in that black. This is the right side of your work, by the way. Grabbing a bit of the tail, pulling it through, and just locking it into place with a chain and a single crochet. A slip stitch. Not a single crochet because you don't want that too thick in there, all right? You do want a single crochet in your very first cherry stitch right there. I'm just crocheting over the tail. Oh, I'm sorry, it's too far. Sorry, guys. I'm going to bring it up for you. Okay, so I'm crocheting over that tail a little bit there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this pillow so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so I'm going to put another single crochet in that stitch there. All right. I've just moved the tail now. Single crochet. Hang on, where are we? That's your cluster. There. This is where your next single crochet, your next cluster should be there. So single crochet in your next stitch right there. And in that stitch there, you're going to put a full cluster of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then you're going to go across 1, 2, and in your third one you're going to do a single crochet, and then you're going to come across here and you go 1, 2, and in your third one you're doing your cluster of 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, single crochet. So you're just following your normal pattern around. 1, 2, 3, cluster of 5, 3, 4, and 5, and then 1, 2, 3, single crochet. All right, I'm going to let you continue that. So go ahead, finish the row, get to about, I'll pop the stitch marker in, get to about, let's see, get to about your cluster set beforehand, the main clusters, just after your last button, and I'll meet you there. All right, so I've done my last cluster set there. 1, 2, 3. We're going to single crochet in that stitch marker. Take out your stitch marker. Okay. Sorry, another long tutorial, guys. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting to do this bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and you're doing another cluster of 5 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to single crochet into the very next stitch, like that. Single into your next 2, single into that next 3, and then you are going to slip stitch into the black like we did before with the slip stitching, into that black right there, if you can get in there. It's a bit tight for me. I'm just pulling a loop through, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook, pull up a loop. You're going to weave these ends in later as well, or on the inside of your pillow, not on the outside, obviously. I'm still not happy with it, and I think it's because, see this part here, we probably should have stitched it down on the inside there. Instead of doing just the points, we should have stitched it down both sides. That would have tightened it up, stopping it from opening up. Well, it is opening up, nothing we can do about that, except we could put another little border across here. Something I just didn't want to do. But I'm going to do it anyway, because at the end of the day, we do want it to still look very professional. And maybe I should have popped the buttonholes. Where are they? There. Maybe I should have popped the buttonholes one layer up. But I've done that, so we're going to fix it. That's the way you look at the pillow normally, yeah? All you need to do is turn it around and grab this side right here. Now, we're not going to work right to the corner. We could start at that corner and then slip stitch into, say, that middle bit there, and then we'll do like a little, you know, layer kind of looking thing. I think that's a good idea. All right, so we'll start in the corner. I'll blow it up for you so you all can see. I'm going to fold the pillow out just to get it out of the way, but that's where we're starting, from that corner right there. So pop your hook in the corner, grab your thread, whatever colour you like. I'm going to stick with the cherry just to keep it in sync. Chaining 1, and what we're going to do, I won't actually crochet over that tail because I want you to see what I'm doing. We're going to slip stitch across. Okay, so from there we're jumping to the next space, we're slip stitching in there, just the first one, and in that first cluster set we're going to pop in a cluster set. So we're going to go 3 double crochets, 1, I'm sorry, try 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then you're going to slip stitch across and into your next stitch, which is there, the single crochet, and you're going to pop a single crochet into the next, slip stitch into your next, and there's your big space there. You're going to pop another cluster in there. That's the space where your buttonhole is, so pop a cluster of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch into the next. Oh, split that yarn there, don't do that. And there's your single crochet space. You're going to pop a single crochet in there, slip stitch into the next, and in that space right there, the big space, you are going to pop a cluster of 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch into your next space. There's your single crochet. You're going to do a single crochet in there. Slip stitch into your next space. Cluster in your buttonhole cluster of that space there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Let me show you this way. Oops, try that. So when you're looking down at it, it looks like that. So once you put your buttonholes in, you'll have that on the bottom. Okay, it's just like an extra layer. Okay, so what I want you to do is continue in that manner. Now let's grab a stitch marker and place it, okay, in your very last cluster set that you're going to do. Oh, so far. Place it in there, right there. Okay. So go across there, all the way across, get to that last space, and I shall meet you up. All right, I've completed that cluster set before my last cluster set. We're going to slip stitch into that next stitch, single crochet into there, slip stitch into the next space, and right in your stitch marker set, right there is your cluster set of 5 double crochets. 1, 2, a little tight this area here, 3, 4, 5. Now the reason it's tight is because we are right up towards the edge of that pillow there, and all I want you to do here is literally slip stitch into the stitch rather than the space there, just a little tight, and then slip stitch right into that very last spot there, or stitch there I should say. Pull up your loop, grab your scissors like that, give it a tug, I'll bring that out for you, let's turn it over, and what you have is that. Alright, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how to tie this down to tighten that up a little bit there, and tie this down to tighten that up a little bit there, so it gives it kind of a real tighter look, stopping it from turning up. And then we'll check it on the cushion and get excited, guys, because that's it. Pretty exciting, huh? Woohoo! Get excited. So grab your tail end that we just finished, or that we just started, one or the other, it doesn't matter. All right, so we started in there. All right, what I want you to do is just keep, in fact, it might help to do that, button up that very first button, like so. Now see that little gap there? We're going to tie that down. Tie it down, darn it down, and the only way to do it is to pop your hand, this is the part where I get pinned, inside your work, like that, yeah? So you're popping it inside your work there. And I want you to actually grab a little piece of thread and bring it back through, like so, and just give it a tug. Do it again, same place, give it a tug, and then just pop your needle in through, watch your fingers, yeah, because it's going straight into the pillow area. Pull it through like so, and weave it in and out wherever you want to weave it. It doesn't matter. Again, it's inside the pillow and no one's going to see it, and you can't even tell you've used it anyway, so there you go. And what that's done is it's actually give a bit more reinforcement to close up that pillow a little bit so it doesn't lift up a bit. If you've done your pillow as tight as mine, you only need to go in 2 or 3 times there, by the way, that will lift. So it's better to tie it down. I should have done that when we were putting the pillow together, or the cushion together I should say, but I didn't, and my fault, and I do apologise, guys. But we're doing it now, and it's going to be done in about 2 seconds time. Get excited. Listen to me, I'm already excited. All right, so now that's the other side, and you're going to do pretty much exactly the same. Now just be wary, you have a tail in there, all I have. I can weave that in later, that's not a problem. So again, like I said, do up that first button. And what it does is it just straightens out. Oh, I can find where it is now. Buttonhole is there. Okay, do up your first button, just so you know exactly where your work is going to sit. Okay, get your finger in there. And what did I say we do? This one's a little bit tricky, this one. Got to go this way. Here we go. We just go in and out of a stitch there, and a stitch there. Once, and what I say? Twice. We did it twice, didn't we? Now you just grab your needle, pop it down through. Watch you don't pin yourself. I nearly did. I nearly do on all these tutorials. I nearly pin myself. And just weave your end in and, oh, not around the pillow, not around the button, sorry. Weave your end in and out like so, in different areas, of course, so you're not, you know, unraveling what you just did. There you go. Whoops, that was coming off anyway. I was going to cut it. I've got a few ends to weave in here. Hopefully you've weaved in all your ends, guys. Listen to me. Hopefully you weaved in all your ends. All right, what I want you to do, grab your cushion, insert, pop it in, and meet me back here in a moment. Ta-da! That's what you should be up to. All of your buttons should already be on. Okay, so what you're going to do is grab your little insert, pop it inside your cushion cover. Okay, this is the end, guys. Get excited. Oh dear, this is going to take me a few seconds to put the buttons on. So I'm just going to pause it for a second and come back. Ta-da! All done, guys, all done. And it does look, it does look okay. I know we had to fuss a little bit with this piece right here, but it looks superb, it really does. We do need to weave in these ends. Don't forget, guys, weave in all your ends if you haven't done so already. And what can I say? It's finally finished, yay! Get excited. If I had to pick a favorite side, like I said on part 3, ta-da, this would be the favorite side. Why? It gives a 3D look that I love so much. And you guys know how much I love my 3D look. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys already do for me. And all I want to say right now is, ciao for now.